Hello everyone and welcome to your lighting critique. So today we've got a few images to look through. We have Holly's here from PokerPuss. We also have some updates to this outdoor, I always think of this as like a James Bond type scene of a character sneaking into the evil facility. So we've got that guy. Let's see what else we have. And then we have this newer one with these characters in Unreal and just kind of comparing a couple different versions. So we've got versions 1 and 2 here. We're going to take a look at those a little bit as well. So I want to start with this shot because I think this is coming along really well. I love your choice to cut off some of what you're seeing in the upper right hand portion of the screen, like some of those dead areas. Like cutting that off is a really, really nice choice. Let's see. The one thing that I will say is that as I was looking at this, I think there's a really nice connection between the character and the red. I love this like little bit of red light kind of trickling on the rim here. And I think the environment, I think everything's looking really good. A couple things that I would do or see if I could add. Number one is I think that the moon itself could actually get a little bit brighter. I think that was actually looking a little bit dim because what's happening is the moon light is very, very bright. And usually what you have to do is kind of justify that with a brighter light source. So I would just make the moon itself a little bit brighter. I also love some of these like specular highlights you're getting down in through here. And I think they're adding a really nice bit of shaping into the shadow areas, which is so important for shots like this, for these nighttime shots. It's very easy to let things get too flat. But what I want to do is two things. One, I kind of want to tone those down so that they are the ones that we're seeing are like they're really great up in here. It's just down in here they get a little bit too bright. It's almost starting to feel metallic as opposed to just kind of like a specular highlight. And then we're not getting it so much in some of these other regions in here. So I would just, even if it was a matter of just putting an extra spotlight in there or something, just to kind of get a subtle little bit of what we're seeing here. So take this down maybe 30%. And then put in a little bit more here. So there's a little bit more balance between what we're seeing and what we're not. But really, really minor stuff. I think everything else is shaping up really nicely. This is like I said, I already tell a story to myself every time I look at this image. So I think this is a really good bit. This character is tough to light it in the darkness because it's, again, lots of reflection. You've done a really great job there. All right, let's hop over to Holly's. We're going to take a look at the PokerPuss. So first shot at this, again, looking at the reference, again, lots of Finding, got a couple Finding Nemo shots, got some real underwater scenes here. The thing that stands out to me, so there's a few things that stand out to me about underwater shots. One, it's the choice of whatever blue, green, kind of teal, aquamarine color you decide to go with the ocean itself. That's one. Number two, you've got to get this heavy aerial perspective. Like things go to kind of a hazy look very quickly underwater. And then number three is getting these like caustic light refractions on the ground. So that's and then also adding a little bit of God rays. So whenever you're doing a CG underwater shot, it's always God rays, caustic light, heavy aerial perspective, just to kind of get that underwater look and matching that, like I said, that blue-green color. So I think we've got some of the blue-green color in here. I think that's off to a good step. We don't really have the distance for that atmosphere aerial perspective like heavy fog thing, but what I am seeing is this, I don't quite know what to make of it. So it looks like they're wooden planks. They also look like they're painted with extremely metallic, because basically when you're underwater you don't actually get specular highlights. Like if you look over here, it's all kind of diffused out, right? Because the specular highlights happen when something is wet in the environment, but underwater you don't really ever see that. So the fact that there's these specular highlights and stuff back here in the background make it feel like it's not underwater. They're actually above water. So that's one. Now, if you're watching Finding Nemo, there's little specular highlights here and there to kind of get more shaping or whatever. We can kind of fudge that, but this level of like metallic, you wouldn't see that underwater. Number two is that, I think that the table provides a really great opportunity to get some of those caustic lights on that gobo in there. I think that would be a really good one. For number three, so we got the color, we don't have the aerial perspective. I'm also seeing these two things. There's some alias going down the side here. It's probably just a low-res test. But the other thing is we're seeing total blackness outside of here. And that's one thing we really want to avoid, especially when we're underwater. Like you would never, it feels like we're looking into the nothingness. Let's see. So other than that, yeah, I think that the biggest one too is just like the overall color value. So I'm just going to go ahead and shift this over. And like if we look here at the levels, we're seeing pretty much everything's from the mid-tones down. And what we want to do is just kind of push some of those elements a little bit. Because again, if we're talking underwater, we're talking about, lots of mid-tones being lifted, lots of, not a lot of super darks in anything that we're seeing. So we want to kind of get those values up a little bit. So yeah, so I think for you, the biggest things are, one, to figure out this environment, to figure out what's going on here, because again, we don't want there to be this shiny wood because it throws us off and makes us feel like we're not underwater. Two, we've got light coming in from the upper screen left side, so let's go ahead and get some God rays in here, some like light breaking through the water to kind of help fill that in. If you have an opportunity to add a little bit of aerial perspective, atmosphere, fog, do it because it'll help with that. Even if it's just like a little bit on the back part, that would be great. And then number 3 is making sure that you're getting a stronger fill on the key, and pushing the key a little bit brighter, and then also getting the fill, like really kind of, because light refracts all around underwater, and so that would be something very important to kind of nail down too. So I think that would be a good place for you to start there as we push along here. Yeah, and keep digging into reference, because the more reference you find, the better off it is. So yeah, good stuff. All right, cool. Let's take a look at this one. We're going to take a look at the reference. So we've got a lot of Japanese city streets. So the one thing about these that's awesome is just a little bit of kind of a controlled chaos like you see in some of these. I like to think of them as chaos with pockets. Like I love this one because there's like, plenty of areas of dark and light, but you've got the pocket of this shop, you've got the pocket there, you've got the pocket of light coming out of here, pocket here. Like you're getting lots of pockets. Even in here, you get this pool of light versus the light hitting over here is a little bit darker. All the light kind of centered down in the alley where things on the side kind of go a little bit darker. So lots of stuff to look at there. And then, guys smoking big cigars is another bit of reference there. So, okay, I want to start with this one. So looking at the 2 versions. Let's see, this may be them. So some things to point out. I like it. I mean, there's no better or worse. It's just a matter of what mood you're trying to create. And for these, I think that if it's me, I'm going with the darker one as the base, and then I'm going to do 2 things. Number 1, although it's not totally believable, every time that I've worked on a shot of a character with a cigarette or smoking something with like that close, you want to get a little bit of the glow of the cigarette onto the character's face. So you want to you pretend like this is shooting some light up there and just kind of creating that little bit of a glow to make that connection. In the other shot, there was a little glow of the cigarette back here. I think that is important to get in there too. I really like that. And then the other thing that I would do is I would push that pockets of light theory, especially as we go back into space. Because if I kind of squint at it, I see light happening here and kind of here and then up here. But really what ends up happening is, yes, there are all those little pockets, but there's much more light spilling into the street as we go back into space. And we can really feel that. So I think that pushing light from the businesses back into the street, and even more so as we go back into space and kind of creating a glow down the alleyway, I think would be very important. Also, I think the sky might be a little bit too bright. I would tone down the actual sky itself. And this green light isn't quite matching the sky color. And so this would indicate to me that it's a sky light, like it's coming from the daylight itself. So I would match that to the sky color a little bit better too. And then for the other shot, beautiful composition, by the way. this is an, I don't know where you got the assets. I don't know how much of this you built, but like what a cool setup for this. All right. So you've got these 2 iterations. I definitely like the brighter one again, because like I love feeling the greater shaping on the character here. And feeling that, there's more light there. I'm surprised at how dark the car is, though, for a few reasons. One, even if it's off, which I think it is. I think there's like nobody in it, and that's why it's sitting idle. The headlights would still be clear. Like you'd still be able to see them. They look bulletproof. And then I would also put a license plate of some sort on there. I'm not quite sure what they look like in Japan, but I would throw something on there because it feels odd that it makes it feel CG that it's empty there. But the other thing is, I guess this is just from the environment itself, but the car looks really dark. Like I would, again, if you're going back to your reference, like look at all this chaos, man. There's lights everywhere. This should definitely be picking up some reflections of stuff, off camera, picking up stuff up here from more skylights. It just feels like the only light that's affecting it is this one right here. And I'm not convinced that would be the case. I think it would pick up a lot more reflection. So I would, even in areas where we're not seeing it off camera, like make sure you're putting some signs, some glow from some buildings and stuff to really make it feel like we're seeing more of this space, especially in the windshield. Like we're not seeing any reflections of anything in the windshield. But the character itself, this character looks really good. I mean, the other thing too, if you think about walking around at nighttime, especially in the times I've been in Japan, there's no time when I'm walking down a street where I'm feeling like I'm in that much darkness. Like it feels like there's lots of light, again, going down this central corridor and going back into space. And I think that's my main bit. So I think that's like, make sure that you're getting more interaction between that car and the surroundings, and really light this like it's a real city, and that you really want to feel, again, the light that's inside this building, like that's going to spill out. And really kind of interacting all of that. I love this like little pocket of light over there. Just this, but more of it, basically. All right, that is it, everybody, for today's critique. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Monday, I will do my best. I'm going to be at GDC all day on Monday. And so if anyone's at GDC this week, definitely let me know. I will be around, and I will do my best to get you guys the critique. It might be later in the day Monday, but we will see. All right, I'll talk to you all soon. Have a good weekend.